5 laws to follow that have absolutely nothing to do with technology the next time you're trying to transform, disrupt, or innovate that will improve your chances of success. If you've like me, you've probably worked with a lot of technical teams, a lot of engineering leaders, or you've been a part of a lot of digital transformation journeys. And one thing that people usually focus on in these journeys is all about the product, all about how great it is. It's just gonna be, we're just gonna work on all this technology, and then the project failed or the transformation, impact doesn't become realized. And a lot of the times it's because they're not really applying these laws that I'm about to share. A lot of the inspiration from what I'm about to tell you comes from a recent documentary that I watched on a fascinating technology built at Facebook called React. And it's done by Honeypot, and it's wonderful. But what it really brought home to me is a lot of the non-technical people aspects that were just as important, if not more important, than the foundational technology that Facebook was building at the time. So this technology, React, is used to help developers build components and user interfaces very quickly. And it's powering a lot of the services that we use today, such as Instagram, Facebook, Netflix, etc. But the most important thing that led it to its success that it is today are these 5 things that they followed throughout its development, and that was followed end to end by almost all members of this team. So let's start with number 1. You must sell, right? Somebody came up with this myth that the technology will sell itself. It is absolutely not true. The technology will not sell itself, no matter how great it is, unless you're willing to promote it, advocate for its benefits, and communicate clearly, and also inspire others to adopt it. It will not be, it just will not, people will not see that it's magical just because it's technically great. So that was one of the first things I learned, in that even the founder of this technology, he was willing to sell it. I've seen too many tech projects with great ideas just not get the funding, not get the resources, and not get the attention or the adoption just because the technical leads just didn't know how to communicate and weren't willing and prepared to inspire others to jump onto the vision, right? So that was one of the important parts, right? Especially there's this part of the documentary where Byron is coming into the meeting to tell Jared Watt that, we really needed to focus on something a little bit core to Facebook's mission, and this side project, we'll have to kill it. And it's Jared's ability to just be totally prepared, ready to sell his idea, the benefits, why he believes in this functional approach, and the enthusiasm as well as the presentation and the demo that convinces Byron to take a look at the project. And again, they had to sell through every level, right? Even when the project was being used in Facebook, they still went to JSConf and did a presentation to sell it outside of Facebook, right? So number 2 is competition. They might say necessity is the mother of invention, but competition really refines things and polishes them and gets them ready for production. And also competition helps you to make better choices, right? So in this documentary, you see a lot of internal competition. So how did they make the choice that React was the right approach that would really accelerate the ability of Facebook to change faster than the competition and to learn and to spit out new features consistently? Well, they didn't just pick React. They had a competition. They had 2 other approaches. They had Bolt, they had React, and they had another one that others were testing. And having that competition really refines the features and the scalability and the speed that the React team was developing to ensure that their product was better than the alternatives, right? The same thing at Netflix, right? They needed to choose, should they use Backbone JS or should they use React? How did they make the decision that React was the best one, that it really could deliver? Well, they had a design prototype, and they split up into 2 teams and said, look, let's see who can build it fastest and which one delivers the best experience. And again, React delivered there. So competition is necessary for innovation and for you to really drive transformation and change. The third thing I would say is you can't have any sacred cows. Too many times I've been in conversations, let's say in the financial service sectors or in government, and there's some mission critical application, whether it be legacy or so on, but it's so key to the business that nobody's willing to change. You may say, let's move to the cloud. And we'll say, well, lift and shift will give you the least value. No, when you move into the cloud, no is when you want to transform. That's when you really want to leverage cloud native services, and the customer will say at the time, no, it's too risky, it's too much work, that's too core to the business, too disruptive. Well, Facebook, right after the IPO, they changed their ads product, right? That's how they make all the revenue, right when the stock was tanking, right? And also right after they've just spent 4 months or 6 months writing the code in Bolt. But they saw that long term, React would allow them to iterate quickly and really deliver the features they wanted. And so they were willing to, sacrifice another 4 months to redevelop it, even if it's the core product, even if it's what generates the money. And so you have to have that willingness and that boldness, not necessarily being reckless, but you have to be bold enough and not have anything that's so sacred that it cannot be touched, it cannot be challenged, it can't be improved upon, right? So no sacred cows. The fourth one I would say is be persistent, right? A lot of times, we have these grand ideas or this vision about what's going to happen, and we release something into the wild and then something else happens. But if you really believe on it, the first time, sometimes it doesn't work, but you have to continually be persistent. So the first time the React team did the presentation, everybody hated it. I mean, I saw JSX, and the first time I saw it, I was like, why would I want that ugly markup in the middle of my JavaScript? Well, you know what? If they had given up at that first presentation at JSConf, then we wouldn't be using React today. But they didn't. They persisted. They continued to promote it. They believed in the product, and then they gave the JSConf another try, and they presented in Berlin. And that's the presentation I saw, which is really about thinking different. You don't have to adopt React, but here's a different approach that throws out all the conventions that you're used to, but it's going to deliver these benefits. And that was a really inspiring talk, and that's the one that I watched, and that's what I think a lot of others watch, and that's how React gained momentum. And then the final thing is build a community. Sometimes the engagement with the community is actually far more important than the technical product itself, right? Or engaging with the community beyond, let's say, organization, engaging with other teams and building a community to get them on board your initiative is actually important, right? If people don't adopt the change, then the change won't have any impact, right? So you won't be able to deliver any innovation. So community is important. We see this today in businesses doing, changing their models to become more of a platform model and building ecosystems around themselves and opening up. But in order to do that, you do have to sell, you do have to engage, you have to communicate, you have to have documentation, you have to be willing to compete, and you have to be persistent. So thanks for listening to this rather long explanation of these 5 laws, but I genuinely believe from my experience and also what's demonstrated in the documentary that if you follow these principles, your chances of success will improve dramatically. The link to the article is below, as well as the original documentary that I've taken some inspiration from. Thank you.